Is it okay to marry an unbeliever? How does one deal with overbearing in-laws? Have you had similar challenges? How were you able to overcome? Do you have any advice to your younger self regarding marriage? Can you give me advice on being in a relationship with a pastor? How did you survive long distance relationship before moving back to Nigeria? How were you sure that God was leading you to Nigeria? Hello ma, please, what advice will you give those of us in relationship with pastors? Hello, I need advice on moving to Nigeria to my pastor fiance. There's another long email, but I won't read it now. Hello guys, welcome to another beautiful episode of Faith Friday. My name is Lade, Owolabi. In today's video, as you can already tell, I'm going to be answering questions, your questions about marriage, about lifestyle, about family, and relationships. So the backstory is that I put out a post on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, this is a good time to follow. I put out a post on my Insta stories before I filmed the video. I filmed with PJ the last Faith Friday, and thank you so much for the feedback. You guys are amazing. And in that post I said, I'm making a video with PJ, please send in your questions. But all the questions that I got were directed to me, and so I decided I was going to just make a whole new video answering those questions, and that's what we're doing today. If you have burning questions that I don't get to, or you didn't ask me, please be sure to send me a DM on Instagram or an email. My email will be on the screen. I'll be happy to hear from you. All right, let's dive into the questions without any further ado. So the first question says, is it okay to marry an unbeliever? Is it okay to marry an unbeliever? My answer to that question is capital no. Capital no. Somebody who maybe even proclaims to be a Christian or a believer, but is not showing any signs of being a believer. When you're a Christian, the word Christian means Christ-like. Christianity is not a religion, so it doesn't mean you check the box of Christianity when you're filling a form. That's not what being a believer is. Being a believer is having a relationship with God. Which God? The one true living God. The one that you can only get to through Jesus Christ. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through me. That's why when people argue and say, people from maybe another religion, and they say, we're serving the same God. Please, we're not serving the same God. So that's ignorance. That's pure ignorance. And some people are not ignorant, but they just choose to be in denial. Okay, Jesus said it. Jesus said it. So the only way to our God, to my God, is through Jesus Christ. So if you are from a different religion, or you practice a different belief, and your selling point is, oh, after all, we serve the same God. Sir, excuse me, we're not serving the same God, because if you don't get to your God through Jesus Christ, then it's not the same God. So should you marry an unbeliever? Absolutely no. But I don't also think that you should marry a Christian, a guy who claims to be a Christian but doesn't have a solid relationship with God. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 14, do not, NIV version, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what does righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? Is that serious, guys? Like, I mean, is that serious? And the answer is just plain no. Like, don't make excuses. Marriage, you cannot... Okay, let me say this, because as a sister who is a believer, you're strong in the Lord, you can be saying, okay, I will marry him and he will be my soul that I will win to Christ. My dear sister, you can win millions of souls without being married to them. When you are married to somebody, you have joined with the person, you have become one with the person. If you marry an unbeliever, the person might eventually give their life to Christ, but it can, if the person doesn't, or however it goes, it can even stop you from going to heaven. Yes, it can hinder your salvation, because you trust God. I mean, you trust God that he will help you with converting this person. So you marry this person because you trust God, right? And then you realize that for some one way or another you have tried, it's been 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, and this person has still not budged to what you were thinking. And now that trust that you had in God to change this person is going to be affected, whether you admit it or not, whether you believe it or not, because you trusted God to convert this person. But it's not up to God. It's not. If it was up to God, everybody would be a Christian. If it was up to God, but that's not how he designed things to be. That he's not a tyrant. He's a father. He's a loving father, and he doesn't call us to be his children by force. He calls us to be his children by choice. So it's a matter of choice. So my sister, don't marry an unbeliever, and don't marry a Christian brother who you can tell that he doesn't have a solid relationship with God. I remember when I was, and I know you're asking me this question, so you guys might want to hear some of my experiences. I always wanted a man who would be ahead spiritually, academically, emotionally, financially. I wanted a man who would be ahead of me. Why? Because in God's organogram, the husband is the head of the home, and the husband is the leader of the home. And I know that I'm a very smart somebody, and if I can't have a stupid man leading me. I can't afford to have a foolish man leading me, leading my family. So I had to set my standard really high when it came to deciding on who to marry. I hope I've answered that question. Please do not marry an unbeliever. You cannot change the person. You cannot trust God to change that person. If you're a young lady, you're a believer, you're a Christian, you love God, and you're in this dilemma, the answer is very simple. That guy is not your husband. He's not your husband. And if you think you love him, pray and God will help you. But don't get into it without this person being totally converted and totally committed to God. Please. Let's go to the next question. Please, what advice would you give to those of us in relationship with pastors? So I'm going to categorize all those questions that have to do with marrying a pastor. I guess because I took a picture with PJ, that's why these questions are coming. Advice. If you're in a relationship with a pastor, that's great. Congratulations on being in a relationship with a pastor, but a pastor is just a regular person. And I think that people on the outside who are not, of course, in a relationship with a pastor, they assume, and of course, before you got in a relationship with this pastor person, you must have been on the outside. For me, when I just met PJ, and before we got into a relationship, I saw him as this really fine pastor. It's really handsome, well put together pastor, where like his suit is always pram, shirts, his shoes. You know, I saw him like this cool, calm, collected, like he could do no wrong type of guy. But you know, we got in a relationship, and of course I knew that this person would have weaknesses and all of that. But very soon I realized that not all that glitters is gold. When you see him on the altar, the anointing is already on him, so he's glowing in the anointing. But when maybe not even in a relationship, when you guys get married, then you really see the true person who they are. Let me shock you guys. So one of the things that really shocked me about PJ was how he would, because at the time when we just got married, he was a lecturer. He would come back from work. Of course, he would wear his suit and tie and shirt and shoes and all of that. And when he gets back from work, in the living room, like I'm still greeting him, he's just opening the door. He's already taking off his tie, or he has already taken off before he opens the door. He pulls his shoes off right there, the front door. And so that was a big shock to me, because in my head I just thought this guy must have everything, like speak and span, prim and proper, like this guy must be, pengness must be like. But that's just how PJ was. PJ is, and I hated to pick after him. I hated to go after him and just pick around the house, because oh, you left your belt here, and you left your this here, and you left your this here. But that was one of the shockers. So if you are in a relationship with a pastor, I want you to know that that person, they call them man of God, is not God of God. So he's still a man, okay, and he will make a lot of mistakes. When you get married, I hope you do, he will shock you, but you need to have a deep understanding of what your core is as a couple, your values, your belief system. Those are the things that are important, okay? Not that the other things are not important, but of course they can be worked on. If you know the intention of a person, the heart of a person, then all those other extras can be worked on. Another advice I will give you if you're in a relationship with a pastor, and this one I didn't know until like later on. So there's this Yoruba proverb. I'm gonna try to say it. Don't laugh at me. Ìgbàgbọ́ ọmọ kò gba babala. Oh my God. It just translates to mean that the faith of a child cannot save the father. The same thing when you're in a relationship with a pastor. The faith of your fiancé cannot save you. If you get married to a pastor, the faith of your pastor husband cannot save you. You need to have your own solid relationship with God. It needs to be really, really solid, especially in the place of prayer. I did not know this. I thought that, my husband is a pastor, is a spiritual covering over my house. I can just be chilling. My sister, you cannot just be chilling. So if you're in a relationship with a pastor, you need to take your own faith seriously, your own spiritual life seriously, your own Christian life very, very seriously, because you are the backbone, you are the neck, you are the person that even when you get married and he's the head, you are the neck, you are the person that he's going to come to when he's weak, you are the person that he's going to come to when he's stuck, when he needs advice. You cannot be giving him any kind of advice. You have to also be hearing from God. So if you're in a relationship with a pastor, tighten your belt, the belt of your faith, tighten it very well, and your antennas with God, let it be very sharp. All right, another question says, how did you survive the long distance relationship before coming back finally to Nigeria? There's a whole video about that, and I did that video with PJ, so I'm going to link that video up. Please go and see that video. It's a whole video, so it will answer this question extensively, how we survive long distance relationship. We actually had long distance relationship, and then we had long distance marriage. So we have had both. I don't think we did a video about long distance marriage. Let me know if you guys want to know about how we survive long distance marriage. Another question says, what's your advice for your younger self regarding marriage? My younger self. You know what? It's only one advice. And the advice will be, Lade, maximize your singleness. Maximize your singleness. If you're single, you are a superhero. You have no idea what you can do with singleness. I did good being single, but there's so much more I could have done as a single person. If you're listening to me and you're a single lady, the time that you have as a single, you're not going to have that time ever again. Let me tell you one of the things that happens when you're married. Is this time, especially when you now have a child. After I gave birth to Zoe, before I gave birth to Zoe, when I was single, even before I got married, I can sleep. You know how they say, sleep and forget your sorrows. Sleep as if you are like dead sleeping. That's one thing I miss. One of the things I miss. Can sleep well, and you sleep to the point where your body wakes you up like, okay, you've had enough sleep, wake up. Since I gave birth to Zoe, I don't even know what that means or what that feels like. I just know that there's something like that. Because when you first give birth to a child, that child is totally dependent on you. When I gave birth to Zoe, she was breastfeeding every 2 hours. She was exclusive, and I had to breastfeed every 2 hours. If she was sleeping and the 2-hour mark had reached, I had to pump express breast milk. Guys, and my mom was with me at the time, and I was telling her that I feel like I've not slept. It was like she was 2 weeks old, and I was telling my mom, like, I feel like I've not slept in 2 weeks. And my mom said, when you become a mom, you almost never get enough sleep, because even when the children are gone and married, she was telling me, just like you, I still sleep and my mind is with you guys. So I'm sleeping, but like I'm conscious, like I'm awake, because my mind is always with you guys. That's myself and my siblings, and that's one of the things that happens when you're married. So if I was going to advise myself as a single lady, I'll say, Lade, maximize your singleness. I can talk for hours and hours and days about this topic. Just a little hint, I don't know if I should tell you guys, my first book is coming out soon, and it is about maximizing your singleness, because there's just so much I want to say about it. And yeah, so your time as a single lady is when you have to arrange your life. You don't need a man to arrange your life. Arrange your purpose. What are you doing here? What are you about? What is your life about? What is your life's goal? What is your life's calling? Why are you here? Arrange yourself. Register your business. Like, put a structure to things. I find it very disheartening when I speak to young ladies, and it just seems like they cannot think about their future until a man is in the picture. He will come, but if you're going to attract a king, you have to be a queen. If you're going to attract a smart, serious-minded man, you have to be a smart, serious-minded lady. Next question. How does one deal with overbearing in-laws? Have you had similar challenges? How were you able to overcome it? Let me tell you guys a truth of this episode, because I'm coming to you. There's no need for me to lie. Like, the biggest fights that I have had with PJ have been because of in-laws. and I know my in-laws watch my videos, and this is going to be a shock, because no in-law has said that we're fighting because of them. But the biggest fights we have had has been because of in-laws. And I'm going to tell you guys, answering this person's question, that what would I advise overbearing in-laws. So this word overbearing is very contextual. I don't know the context you're asking me this question from. I don't know what has happened, so I can't really answer the overbearing part. But this is my advice to you. No matter, you can't marry your brother now, and you can't marry your cousin. When you get married, you're going to marry somebody who has a different background, different upbringing, different family structure, different everything. And this, as much as you think, oh, your fiance, you people are in love, you talk a lot, you communicate a lot, you tell you tell each other everything. As much as you think your fiance or your husband, there are things. For instance, let's just say, typically, maybe you guys married, he was 30, you were 25. Let's just say he was 30, you were 25 at the time you got married. This person has lived 30 years of his life. How? And you people have known each other for 1 year, 2 years, and then you get married. Can he tell you what happened in 30 years in the space of 2 years? It's not possible. He will tell you the main things. You should also tell him the main things, and you should also be open to each other. But there's no way you can understand. You can try, but you cannot know. And that's what I just realized recently. I cannot know what it feels like to grow up with 8 siblings and many other relatives living in the house, being away from your parents. That's PJ's setting. I can't know what it is. He can tell me, he can explain to me. I can't know. And PJ cannot know what it is to be in a family where it's just 3 children. Father and mother and 3 children. We have uncles and aunties coming and staying over once in a while, but it's just 3 children. We're very, very close knit in my family. PJ is close knit too, but they are all close knit. I mean, if it's 3 and you do like this, you see that everything is touching everything. But if it's 8 and they have come together, there are some parts that will not touch some parts. So as much as they think it's close knit, in my mind, I'm like, what? So that's been the biggest challenge, because I can't know. And I had to come to the point where I understand that just give up. Like, you can't know, and you don't need to know. What's important to you, if you're already married and you're having issues with in-laws, what's important is this your home now? In-laws have their own home, their own business, they have their own things. Your own nuclear family is what's important, is what's priority. One thing I'll tell you is that for there to be peace in your home, you have to be on the same page with your husband, and you have to understand. On the last page Friday, when we were talking, PJ said you have to understand the understanding, or something like that. You have to understand what the person is standing under, something like that. So you need to understand the context. Like when a person takes a decision, for instance, family wants to come over, or maybe they already came over for a visit, but then they are staying for an extended visit and it's getting too long, and you're getting uncomfortable, your privacy, and you're feeling very hurt, and you're wondering why your husband cannot just tell these people, can you, like, my wife is not happy, like, you are wondering why your husband cannot. You need to understand, you need to get yourself to the point where you are willing to understand why, their intention, why they do what they do, why he's making this over this. Don't now put it to him and say, you don't love me. If you don't do this, then you don't love me. Pick one between me. I don't ever put your husband in that position or that situation. Try to understand. And not every man, that's another problem. Not every man can explain. Not every man is vocal, can explain. PJ is a man of very little words, guys. Very little words. Except when it comes to politics and Nigeria. And when he's preaching, but just generally, he's not somebody that talks a lot. And I like to know, and I always like to have I call them reasonable conversations, where I put away how I feel and I just try to understand. So why? What are you telling me? Why are you telling me? Like, so okay, so why? Understanding what that person is standing under. I pray that God will help you. And if you're having issues, I want you to know that in-laws will come and go. Your husband, you're with your husband for life. In-laws will come and go, and you cannot know what it must have been like to grow up, to have that background. That you keep knowing, you will keep learning, and you will keep knowing. So please be open to learning. And this particular person that asked this question, if you can reach out to me and give me context, I'll be really happy to talk to you and pray with you. I would like to know the context of what you mean by overbearing. What is the context? I hope I've answered that question. The last question, I know that we've gone way beyond time. It's a very long email I got. I actually got that email this morning, and the summary of the email is a subscriber from the US. So hey, I really get humbled when I see people watching me from different parts of the world, especially Sister Yemi from China. So just for the person's privacy, for the sake of privacy, I'm going to keep this person as anonymous. She sent an email saying that she's a subscriber, she lives in the US, and her fiance is in Nigeria, but her family is scared. Her family is in the US as well. They're scared of allowing her to, relocate to Nigeria. She's into ministry, he's into ministry. She knows that this is her husband, like God has confirmed it to her, and the work that they are going to be doing. But the family is very worried because of the media, what's happening in Southern Kaduna. She says she has been in distress because she doesn't want her family to be worried, and she wants me to give her advice or suggestions. My beautiful, beautiful sister, because your picture on your Gmail thing is really beautiful. I need you to do a little bit of research about Nigeria, a little bit of research about where you're going, and communicate that to them. You cannot depend on what the media is telling you or what they're reading, because if you search Nigeria, sometimes if there's been a riot or killings in Southern Kaduna, that's what you will see. Nigeria is a sizable country. Is big, but definitely not as big as the US, but it's a sizable country, and there's I don't know where you guys are going to be located at, but you should be able to find some things when you do your research that would give them comfort. But still, if God is sending you to Southern Kaduna, what will you do? What will you do if that's where God says go, where there are killings? What will you do? You still go. You just need to assure them, don't be in distress, because that's what the devil wants. Don't be in distress. They love you. That's why they are concerned about you. That's why they are saying all of this. I'm going to tell you more when I respond to your email, like more details about some of the things that you should do. But generally speaking, if you're in this dilemma, get some research done and educate them about Nigeria. Find out more about where you're going. Tell your fiance about the dilemma that you're in, and you guys should pray about it. There's nothing God cannot do. There is no. My mom was not having it when I said I'm coming back to Nigeria. She was not having it. She was almost playing the card of, if I'm your mom, don't come back. But somehow, because she's a daughter of God, she loves God too, and God speaks to her too, God was able to tell her, because I prayed, God was able to kind of calm her down, put peace in her mind. So you can also pray, and I can agree with you in prayer that God will grant them peace in their hearts. Most important thing is that you're fulfilling purpose, you're fulfilling the will of God, and that you're working in God's plan for your life. God will protect you. God will protect you. God will protect you, and He will give them peace. I just want to assure you that if God really called you, then He'll make a way. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but He's going to make a way. He is going to make. I can tell you for sure. We've had a lot of challenges. We're still having challenges, but we know that because God is on our side, we're not going to be left stranded. Christianity and being a child of God doesn't assure you that there will be no opposition, there will be no enemies, there will be no attacks. But where is the confidence? The confidence we have is that God is on our side. And I want to assure you that when God is on your side, then you have nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Thank you so much, guys. This is a really long episode, but I really enjoyed answering your questions. Let's do this once in a while. So if you have questions, send them to me on Instagram, send them to my email, and I will be addressing them as time permits. That's all I have on today's video, guys. If this video has blessed you, please feel free to share on your social media platforms. I'll be happy to repost, to reshare, and all of that. Thank you for engaging with my content. All of you who watch the videos, all of you who like, comment, and share. God bless you so much. Until next time, guys, be the best version of you. Bye.